The 2025 NBA MVP race could go down as the craziest MVP races of all time. So we all know the main top three candidates. We're not going to talk about them right now, but I just want to list off a couple guys that are having ridiculous seasons and they're not even in the top three. This is how crazy that this MVP race is this year. So let's start off with Jason Tatum, averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, leading points, rebounds, and assists in his whole team in those categories, which is wild. Obviously, they're the second seed in the East, 54 and 19 wins. They're on a 7-game win streak, playing ridiculous, reigning champions. And then let's talk about Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs, first seed in the East, 59 wins and 14 losses, absolutely ridiculous. Averaging 24 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, on an absolute tear this year. And then you got guys like Steph Curry, Cade Cunningham, which he's been absolutely incredible this year. I made a video about the Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham a couple weeks ago. You can watch that. I'm not going to talk too much about Cade Cunningham. But then we got guys like LeBron James, 40 years old, still in the top 10 MVP race. Evan Mobley's been killing it. Jalen Brunson, just all of these guys, if these top three candidates that we're going to talk about in a little bit weren't having ridiculous seasons, any of these guys could be in the top three and win MVP. But we got SGA, we got Nikola Jokic, and we got Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just three incredible guys. Literally, it's a week-to-week basis from who's first, who's second, who's third. It's crazy, and we're going to talk about it right now. So let's talk about what MVP really is. Most people know what the MVP is, right? But this is for the people that think MVP should just be, oh, who's averaging the most points, most rebounds, most assists? They're averaging the most stats, so they should be number one in the league, right? Nah. MVP is most valuable player. Most valuable player to your team. If you're the best team on the best team in the league, you should be extremely high in the MVP race. So let's look at SGA first. SGA went on the court. Historic defense, historic offense. It's ridiculous. When SGA is off the court, the defense is still good. Don't get me wrong. The defense is still excellent. The offense, that's when it takes a big hit. When SGA is on the court, the offensive rating is 126.2 with a plus minus of 24.6. Plus 24.6. When he's off the court, the offense is 113.7. That's 13 points less. In the net rating of plus 7. And then the defensive rating, SGA is on the court 101, and then when he's off the court 106. So defense gets slightly better, but the defense is still absolutely elite when he's on the court. Obviously, SGA having an incredible statistics season, averaging 33 points, 5 rebounds, 6.2 assists. Number one team in the league with the record as 61-12, an absolute historic record. Could they win 70 games? Maybe. They could. They probably won't, though. But SGA, a lot of people's favorites for the MVP this year. So let's talk about Nikola Jokic now. Nikola Jokic, averaging 21 points, 12.8 rebounds, 10 assists. I'll round up for you. He's averaging 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists. They're 46 and 28. That's good for the third seed in the West. We all know Nikola Jokic, man. He's an MVP magnet. He could win it every single year. If voters fatigue wasn't a thing, Nikola Jokic would win MVP every single year. But the offense, let's look at the offense when he's on the court. The Nuggets seem to always have a problem with the non-Jokic minutes. When Jokic is on the floor, they're averaging 120 points per game. When they're off, they're averaging 110. That's 10 whole points. So this is really what the MVP reward is. Most valuable player to your team. When you're on the court, your team's at best. When you're off the court, your team's at worst. And that's what SGA and Nikola Jokic statistically right now for their teams is showing. Now let's have a conversation about Giannis Antetokounmpo being the MVP. Giannis averaging 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists this season. Absolute ridiculous numbers. Crazy numbers. But this is when his conversation kind of gets shut down. He's 6th in the East, 40 and 32. But his conversation gets opened back up when you read these stats. The Bucks score 118.5 points per 100 possessions with Giannis out there on the court. A mark that would rank 7th in the NBA defensively. They allow 13.7 points per possession. That's good for the 13th in the league. Put it all together, their plus 4.8 net rating would place them 8th in the league, which that is really solid, really good. It's a lot better than their current rate, 1.2 as a team. But here's when it gets bad. This is why the team is mediocre like this. 6th in the East, 40 and 32. This is why. When Giannis heads to the bench, it becomes a disaster. It does. Let's be real. Milwaukee plummets to a negative 3.9 net rating, a number that would rank behind the Chicago Bulls. Shout out Josh Giddey. Shout out that whole Bulls team with that game against that Lakers, that half-court shot from Josh Giddey. Shout out that game. That was a crazy ending. But they dropped to a 3.9 net rating that would rank just behind the Chicago Bulls for 22nd in the NBA. It's a complete collapse. So this is when his argument kind of gets opened back up, but it doesn't, because you're 6 seed, you're 40 and 32. But this team is disgusting and horrible without Giannis. But when Giannis is on the court, they're good. That is what MVP means. That is what most valuable player is. But yeah, this MVP race is extremely close. I think it comes down to SGA and Nikola Jokic. Sorry, Giannis. You would be higher if the team was better, but I think SGA is going to win it. They're going to give it to him. Voter fatigue with Nikola Jokic is a real thing. SGA is most likely going to be the 2025 NBA MVP.